On this episode of Green Chili Cheeseman, I sit down with my longtime friend and West Side neighbor Jay Pennington, and we go everywhere. From childhood bike rides and a 50-year-old fishing hole to NASA Detours, Spurs commercials, and his work with Renee Zellweger and Miranda Lambert. We talk Magnum PI, Vikings, film incentives, solar studios, and the dream of building DB Media up. And along the way, we share some personal stories, including the loss of our friends Ruth Buzzy and Raul Malo. This is our longest, smoothest conversation yet, and the perfect way to kick off season 2. Welcome back to Green Chili Cheeseman. Mr. Jay Pennington. And we're just doing audio, so we're not doing video. This video is just for us.
Oh, okay.
For us to be able to see each other, and maybe once we get going a little better, we'll
have to change my shirt.
Oh no, that's fine. We'll maybe set up some kind of camera work somewhere, but for now it's just audio. And
Okay.
Mr. Jay Pennington from Boerne, Texas.
Yeah. Originally from San Antonio, but living in Boerne for about 20 years now.
20 years. How you doing, my friend? Thank you for joining the show. And God, for people who don't know, I think Jay, you've been in probably 90% of my films, something like that. Haven't you been in almost all of my films?
I think they'd probably be better filmed if I wasn't in them.
No, are you kidding me? That's crazy. Golly, you're. Why do you think you keep coming back? I keep bringing you back. So let me ask you this. Again, I know we talked earlier about the podcast and what it's about, and so let me ask you. Tell me about your parents and the house you grew up in. It's the kind of house that you had to jiggle the doorknobs to get stuff to work, or where'd you grow up at?
Well, I grew up in San Antonio, and my father was in the Air Force, and when I was born, he really spent most of the first 5 years over in Vietnam and Korea, and he was a jet pilot. And so I was really raised by my mother and grandmother. And then when I turned 5, he kind of said, my dad says, well, he said to my mom, he says, it's either me or your grandmother. Three of us can't live together.
Oh.
And so she chose her mother. And so that was as far as my father went.
There you go.
And unfortunately, he wasn't able to see me until after I turned 18, and then passed away when I was 18 and a half. So I didn't get much exposure from my father, but I had met his last wife before he died, and we became friends, and her whole family has become part of my family. But I grew up on a very small house near Woodlawn Lake in San Antonio.
Yeah.
And I would really say, everybody says, everybody likes to say they're middle class. I'd say at that point we were probably upper lower class. We're just a small house in a small neighborhood, and but it was a good childhood.
What street did you grow up on around there?
On West Craig.
On West Craig. I lived on West Russell.
Yeah. Okay. Well, just a block over or so, right?
Towards the west side, towards Blanco, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I went to Fenwick Elementary. Where did you go for elementary school?
Beacon Hill.
Okay. So close, but not on top of each other.
No.
But no, it was a good life back then. I rode my bike all the time, and Peacock Academy was just about 2, 3 blocks away, and the big fields there, and then I could go fishing on Woodlawn Lake,
Yeah.
and so it was a good childhood. And then also the church we were attending bought a lot of property just past Comfort, Texas,
Oh,
and we bought a little bitty lot and built a one-room cabin there. And so I spent a lot of my childhood out in the country,
nice.
and fishing on the Guadalupe there, and hiking through the hills and that stuff. So I had big city and country mixed together.
That's kind of cool. What church was that that you went to?
It was Trinity Baptist
Trinity Baptist, yeah.
back then, Buck Fanning, and
Yeah, I
they always
remember.
try to do big things. And so they bought all this property and built a camp and a church and a cafeteria, and they'd have camps there all the time. But we had a little cabin just a couple blocks away from that.
Very cool. You had mentioned your grandmother helped raise you. What do you remember
Right?
about your grandma and what's her story? Where did they come from?
Um, I think they were all kind of from Beaumont, and but when I was born, my grandmother was already too old. She was kind of senile, I guess, and domineering and all those kinds of things. And so when I got old enough, I left home. But one interesting thing that I have been trying to figure out is I always knew, I was told maybe as a teenager that my grandmother adopted my mother.
Oh,
And so I didn't know the story about it, but I always was curious, well, who was my biological grandmother? That would be interesting to find out.
yeah.
And I went to Ancestry, and there's a place in Bernie that'll look up your ancestry as well and help you with stuff. And so the interesting thing we kind of figured out was that my mother's birth certificate was signed by my adoptive grandmother
Mm-hmm.
3 days after she was born. And
Hmm.
so kind of what we figured was maybe someone in the family over in Beaumont got pregnant, maybe it was a teenager or something, and then my grandmother said, well, I'll take the baby when the baby's born.
Right.
So that would be an interesting story.
It
Uh,
probably
but I
was.
haven't been, it, that's,
It probably was someone from out of
I haven't been able to figure out
the city, actually, or out of the state, and they brought them in to have the baby there.
who.
Because it wouldn't be
Hmm.
someone local; everyone would know.
Right. Well, yeah, they were originally from New Orleans.
Oh,
So maybe when that happened, that's when they moved to Beaumont from New Orleans.
oh, see, that's cool. That's pretty interesting stuff. So you haven't gotten any further?
No, not yet. But I want to.
I
Well, I was able to trace the Pennington line back to
I imagine
the Y
England.
chromosome back to 15, 1500s in England,
Yep.
and they came over to America in the 1600s. And so they came over before the war for independence.
Right, right. It's I would imagine Pennington would be a pretty easy name to research, wouldn't it?
Come on, sorry about that.
Another deer. Oh, dogs are welcome.
Yeah.
Dogs are always welcome. Go get him, Emma.
Okay. All right. Anyway, it's
Get him, Emma.
I was never big on history, but lately it's like you learn something and then you find something else about it, and find something else about it, and but when I was a kid with the cabin outside Comfort, I would fish on the banks of the Guadalupe there,
Mm-hmm.
and that was right past a cement road that allowed the water to go under the road, and then a little bit of the water went around. And but then after floods and all that kind of stuff, 50 years later, I decided, well, I'm gonna go meet this little house that's just right there. I'm gonna go over there and introduce myself. And the lady had lived there all her life, and her parents had built the house 100 years ago. And I said, well, I was looking for that bridge, that cement bridge. And she says, well, you probably have to walk on. The river has changed course. And she said, you can walk on my property. And I walked the property, and there I found not bridge. It was broken up, but and so I stood where I stood. I was like, okay, well, if that's the bridge there, then right here where I used to fish in my childhood 50 years ago,
Wow.
right on this spot here. And so that was cool.
That's very
And
cool.
then I talked to her again, and she said, well, the reason that little bit of water doesn't go under the bridge, it goes around the bridge, is her grandfather dug that trench and built a mill there.
Oh.
And so he built a mill that used that water. And so I never knew about that. So it was like, sometimes the more you dig, you find out interesting things.
Well, have you done the DNA test thing?
Um, yes, I've done my own DNA. Um, but I might be pretty close to finding out who my real biological grandpa was. Might be able to do that. Everybody's passed away because I'm getting older,
Yes, we
and so I
are.
don't know if I'd ever connect with anybody alive. But it's an interesting thought.
Well, there's always hope.
So let me,
Let me tell you why.
yeah.
Just maybe 3 weeks ago, a name kept coming up on my DNA. I have my heritage and ancestry, and a name kept coming
Hmm.
up on one of them, and I finally pulled it up and looked, and it ended up being my half nephew,
Oh, okay.
which would mean
Well,
that my dad had another kid. So he was my brother.
hmm,
I have a brother, and that was his son.
right, right.
So we had
But
another
you never knew about it.
born between myself and my middle brother.
Okay.
And so yeah, that
So you think it might be that would
lit-
have been with another lady, a
oh
little romance affair,
oh yeah, most
maybe?
definitely. I we tracked it down to his grandma. It would have been his grandmother.
Uh-huh.
Um, and so I
Cool.
asked my only living relative on my dad's side is I have one aunt left, and she was like, didn't know anything about. I don't know the name. Didn't know anything about it. So
Okay.
and like recently, this like weeks ago. So you never
Wow.
know what's gonna pop up. Plus, it says I'm related to like on one. I have over 2,000 people that are DNA relatives of mine. That you just second cousins, third cousins down the line. But yeah, you just never know what you're gonna find.
Yeah. Well, have you contacted this half nephew?
Yeah, we've talked. He's a fireman down there, but he lives in it's somewhere close Cibolo, somewhere close to us, to where we were at,
Okay.
somewhere around there, Cibolo. I
Okay.
think he's a fire guy, paramedic, and he's
Hmm.
it's a trip. It's just a trip. He seems like a great guy. But yeah, I'm
No.
over here and he's over there,
Hmm.
so.
That's good. So your family expected.
The family has expanded, and here I thought I was going to be the last. Well, I actually am the. I have a nephew, but I'm the last Pedraza of the line. My
Hmm.
nephew, of course, unless he has a son. Um, but he doesn't really care about the genealogy thing at the moment. He will. I know he will.
Okay.
In
Later on,
fact,
yeah.
I don't know if you've kept up, but I have an multi-award winning screenplay about my family. It's won
Good.
multiple best
Yeah,
television
yeah, yeah, yeah.
series, best what is it called, pilot, TV pilot, best series, best da 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 da, and We just gotta get it made, man. I have all these screenplays that have awards, and we just need someone to
Well,
put
I was going to
some.
ask you about the Buffalo Bill, Cody, your Cody story.
Yeah, yeah. What did you read that play, right? I sent that to you.
Oh yeah, no, I liked it. Um, I was I was thinking there was I was going to suggest right in the middle, like Buffalo Bill gets a letter from him, and it explains a little bit more, so the audience gets a little more information. But I like the story.
It started out as a short film, so think about that.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah, good.
if we want to pull our resources together and pull that one off, it's
Yeah. Come to Bernie.
it's that's what I'm saying. Well, actually, it'd be cheaper to film it here because tax
Right,
incentives.
I know.
Um, but but yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm working with Laura Shaw right now, and she's reading a screenplay that hopefully this summer I'm going to start, taking a train from here to California. Set at $75 to take the train.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean it
Okay,
takes
yeah.
like 12 hours, but go film on the
And no
weekends
traffic.
and no traffic,
Right.
and go film on the weekends over
Mhm.
there and film at her house. Use her house as a location,
Okay.
and grab another actor, and then pull in Dave Hardberger, who was going to be working on our film here, but Chip got in an accident and we couldn't pull it off this year. But Dave
Mhm.
Hardberger is like Lord of the Rings and Star Wars and all that stuff, and he's
Mhm. Mhm.
it'll be easier for him because he's there in California. Anyways,
Yeah.
um, so you're back to your heritage. So where were your grandparents from? Do you know where your grandmother was from or their family? The Pennington. Oh,
Well, they
England. You
were
told me England.
from New Orleans.
Uh huh.
Uh, and, so even though I was born in San Antonio, my grandmother would cook a lot of Cajun food and Creole food.
Okay.
And so I always had a love for the food. And uh, probably 30 years ago now, I guess, I was working I was working at NASA, and this lady was hired as a data entry person for the stuff we were working on. And she kept getting on the phone with this priest in New Orleans because she used to work at that church, and she kept having problems. And so she said, well, Jay, can we pay for you to come over to New Orleans and fix their software problem? And I said, yeah, I hadn't been to New Orleans yet, and but they took me all over the place, and I fell in love with New Orleans, with the French Quarter,
Yeah.
and the music, the food, and all that stuff. And it was kind of funny. The priest, when I got there, the priest was working on having a fundraiser, and so he was trying to. While I was there with him, he was going to all these music dives and asking the players if they'd come play at the fundraiser. And so I was in these dark bars, and then a penthouse lounge act, and all kinds of things, and that was with my first wife. And so it was like at 2 in the morning. I was like, oh, I haven't called home to tell her I got here yet.
Oh shoot.
And so I said, well, it's 2 in the morning, and I'm up at this lounge act with Father Carroll, and he's asking for people to be in his fundraiser. But anyway, that was the first trip to New Orleans, and they um, took me to Commander's Palace and Jackson Square, and beignets, and
Mm-hmm.
Preservation Hall, all that stuff. And I just fell in love with it. So I've been back to New Orleans a number of times.
Let's backtrack a little bit here, buddy.
Mhm.
You went to what high school did you go to in San Antonio?
I went to Churchill, and we're having our big reunion next year.
Oh,
So I'm on the committee. Sometimes I don't want to be on the committee, but I'm on the committee,
I feel you.
and trying to make a big one. Well, let me tell you a little bit more about my acting and film loving, that
Well,
kind of thing.
I was gonna get there. I'm kind of working up to that. Did you do
Yeah.
anything in school? Did you do
Okay.
any acting in school?
Well, that was kind of the thing. When we had that little cabin outside of Comfort, we had a portable. It was like a 12-inch black and white portable TV,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the TV we had at home. And my mom said, "Well, I'm waiting for the color sets to get cheaper." So all my life, I had this little portable 12-inch black and white TV. But I took it with me up to Comfort. It was a Friday night, and I was just flipping the channels. Back then, there were 4 channels, and you had to flip the dial. But I came across the movie La Strada, which was Fellini's film. It had Anthony, or what's his name? Well, anyway, I'll remember it after we stop talking. But anyway, La Strada was. I started watching it. I was like 6 years old, watching this classic Italian film, and it really struck me because even though I was 6 years old and I didn't really understand everything going on in the film, there was nothing like that film I'd ever seen before. And La Strada was filmed right after World War II in Italy, so a lot of the city was still bombed out and things like
Right.
that. But it was Anthony Quinn. Anthony Quinn.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Young Anthony Quinn. Ugh.
so yes. So and then I found out that every Friday night, KLRN, the PBS station,
Uh-huh.
was showing a foreign classic film. And so even at 6 years old, 7 years old, I was watching these foreign films every Friday night.
That's crazy.
And it was maybe the next one was The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, and the next one was The 400 Blows, and the next one was M with Peter Lorre. And but I remember those movies.
Peter
I may not have
Lorre.
understood everything about them, but I remember those movies. And so in school, I was taking drama, acting, but I was also taking film studies. And so then in college, I majored in computer science and minored in film studies.
Okay.
And so I've always had a love for studying film, almost. And then I guess about 25 years ago, I realized I live in Los Angeles to be a teacher. So that's when I started in acting
Okay.
25 years ago.
Yeah. And so in school, I know can't skip over NASA, man. I'm sorry. We gotta hit NASA. So how did you
Sure.
get linked into NASA?
Well, I think the two really big things in my life were Jim Estrada, and in my senior year in high school, my best friend's mother, she said, "You going to college?" I said, "Yeah, I'm going to college. I don't know what I want to do." And she said, "Well, you're good in math. You should get a computer science degree." And I
Wow.
didn't know what that meant at the time. I was like, "Okay." So I got a computer science degree, which was the best thing
Wow.
that happened. So I really enjoyed programming, and I've been programming ever since. And I took a job in Denver that was supposed to be working on the shuttle, and but it turned out it was all about the MX missile.
Hmm.
And I thought, well, that kind of bugged me. I didn't want to work on something like that. Either it's not going to get used, so you're working on something that's never going to get used,
Right.
or you're working on something that's going to get used and it's going to kill a bunch of people.
Right.
So after about 3 months of doing that, that's when there was an opening at NASA, and so I took that moved to Houston, Clear Lake, and at the time the job was at the time there were Landsat satellites taking images of the Earth,
Right.
and at the time Russia said that in the country of Russia they were growing this or that in their fields, and they really weren't. And so we were looking at the Landsat satellite imagery to kind of help determine what really was out there. and it was all it was doing. We were looking at the densities of the imagery. You break down the image from the satellite into pixels, and you figure out what was the density of each pixel, and then kind of determine what you're looking at.
Yeah. What year was
So
this
that's how I
at?
got started there. 80.
I was gonna
Let's
say.
see, 85.
I was
It was
gonna
85
say.
when I got there,
How crazy is
and
that? Because I was in.
yeah.
You were there doing that, and I was in Germany. And the unit that I was a nuclear biological chemical warfare specialist. I was an NBC guy,
Wow.
and the unit that
Uh
I
huh.
was assigned to was literally a company of 125 NBC people. But then we freaking had to support the battalion, basically I mean the infantry division, eighth ID. So
Mm-hmm.
that anytime anybody went to the field and had needed chemical support, somebody had to go.
Yeah.
And so the first 5 years I was in the military, I was in the field probably 250 or more days in the field a year, doing chemical support. And where
Wow.
our assignment was with if we were to go to war with Russia was a place called the Fulda Gap. You probably may be familiar with it since you were looking at maps and stuff. But
Okay.
the Fulda Gap was a valley that went between Germany and Russia. Is a valley that goes between Germany and Russia.
Okay.
That would be the
Okay.
way the avenue of attack if they were going to invade. That's going to be it. Uh, my life
Mm.
expectancy was 12 seconds.
Okay. Well,
12 seconds.
so were you worried about being exposed to the chemicals while you were out there?
Actually, no. I went through live agent training, which
Okay.
convinces you pretty quick. As we were talking about, you're in a room with something that's alive, and then agent is released, and then something dies, which at this point was
Okay.
a goat who was killed, and you're standing in the room with it. So yeah, no, you
Well, that's
definitely.
it's a hard job.
Oh my gosh, decontamination, all that stuff was just. So when the nuclear missile downgrade happened, we were
Huh?
assigned. Just how crazy this was! My gosh, they were rolling nuclear missiles with helicopters. How crazy is this? I'm thinking about this now, and us NBC people
Well,
had to be rolling underneath them and riding with them in case anything happened. Not underneath them, but
oh,
riding with them in case
yeah.
anything happened.
Right.
Flying heli. What is it? I did a 2 weeks duty in a missile silo. Talk about freaky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Underground by
Well.
yourself with 6 people. Yeah. And you know what? You know
Mm-hmm.
what the guards were? You know you have German shepherds. You know what the guards were on the field outside?
German shepherds.
Nope. Geese.
No, Malinois.
Geese.
What, geese?
Yep.
Oh, cool.
Geese.
Oh, cool.
Because geese will
Well, they're
attack
kind of mean.
anything that comes near it. Yep.
Right. Right.
So that's crazy. Anyways, that's just that we were working in the same things, kind of on different sides of the world, and we were both seeing the same thing. I was looking at Russia.
Well,
You were looking at
yeah.
Russia.
Well, the job that I had before that was the MX missile. They gave me a job. They said, "Well, here's a brand new small computer. We don't know anything about it, and it's got its own operating system, its own languages. But we want you to make a simulator of the MX missile panels.
Mm,
So it'd be a training tool for people sitting in the silos
right.
of what knob they should press and not press and things like that." But no, my NASA days were fun. Um, I was writing software for different scientists in their research. Sometimes it was related to space, and sometimes it the canopy, the rain canopy in South America,
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of imagery, and then there was the during the shuttle program, and the astronauts would
Yeah.
take, they had a handheld Hasselblad medium format camera, and they would hold the camera out, point it through the window
Mm-hmm.
of the Earth, and so they would be taking film images of the Earth, and then the negatives would come down to the department I was in. There were like these two guys that could look at any picture and know exactly where that was on the Earth. I
That's
mean, they could say,
amazing.
"Oh yeah, it's the east side." Or, I mean, they could just look at the negative and know where that was.
Amazing.
And so they would identify. I was writing the database to catalog all those images,
Wow.
and that kind of led me into. So I was there when the Challenger accident happened,
Yep, I remember it
and
distinctly. I was in Germany.
it, I was there, and I remember we sat. They had the NASA channel in different rooms, and so we were watching it from the NASA channel. And then they had a delay, and so we waited, and then they had another delay, and we waited, and um, then we all went back to work because we didn't think it was going to take off that morning. And that's when the teacher was on the ship, and uh,
Mm-hmm.
but they
Shelley McCulley.
it was
McCulley.
midnight, and we had the accident, and one of our workers came into our room area and told us about the accident. But so then it was it makes you feel old, but my goddaughter, I was telling her about that time and how that Ronald Reagan came on site, and everybody left their offices and went to the ground area to watch him give his speech. And she says, "Oh, it's in my history books." And I thought, man, that makes me feel pretty old. It's something that I experience is in the history books now. But so then they had the investigation, and they called me in. So I was part of the investigation back then. And so we were looking at any kind of imagery of the launch. So that was like photos that the Detours took,
Right.
and videos, and just any kind of media. And so I was in that group that we were cataloging and analyzing the imagery and that kind of thing.
That was the one that
So
ended up being the
uh,
O-rings? Was that the O-rings one?
the what?
The O-rings?
Oh yes, the O-ring. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was too cold,
Yeah.
and
That's right.
uh, I remember during the investigation, um, somebody submitted a calendar, a NASA calendar from a couple of years before that, and so when the booster rockets fall off,
Uh-huh.
they would have a tugboat bring in the booster rockets. And on the calendar, the big picture for the month of May or whatever was a tugboat bringing in a booster rocket, and you could clearly see a burn right at that ring of that booster rocket.
Oh.
So that could have easily been an accident a couple of years earlier.
Wow. Wow.
So
So, kind of
it was interesting time.
kind of parallel and talking about being a part of history. Um,
Hmm.
after I got out of NBC, because once my enlistment was up, I re-enlisted, but I changed my MOS to
Okay.
personal administration, and I was a part of one of the very first classes that implemented computers into the Army. I was in one of
Oh,
the very first SIDPERS classes. Are you familiar with SIDPERS?
no.
Yeah, it was like
But what kind of computer was it?
it was the very first computers that the Army used. It was standard installation database, something like that. And it was just a
What-
huge box
I, oh, okay, yeah. Mid-frame, yeah.
that. So what the class that I was in, I left and I took it to the 4th ID at a battalion in 4th ID, implemented it there. And we're talking, I had been in Germany for
Uh-huh.
3.5 years. And I went to 4th ID in Fort Carson and implemented the system there. And then I guess,
Hmm.
in hindsight, I can look back and think, oh, okay, they already knew stuff was building up, something was happening. Because I got orders to turn
Hmm.
around and go back to Germany, which after you do a
Oh,
tour in Germany, you're not supposed to go back for like another 3 years. I was less than 18
okay.
months, and I was going back to
Oh,
Germany, And I was like, well, what? I didn't think about it then. I was like, oh yeah, I miss Germany. I wanted to go back, and I went
Really?
implemented it into the an air defense artillery battalion in an isolated freaking middle of nowhere base in Germany. And that ended
Uh-huh.
up being the unit that, months later, we implemented it in Desert Storm. It wasn't. It was
Oh,
not very much longer after that that Desert Storm. It was building up for that. All that was building up already. Started getting new equipment.
right.
Reagan's, Jeeps were out. Humvees were in. You know, it was a. I was there when the wall came down.
Wow.
I was
Wow.
there
Very cool.
downtown in the city of Wackernheim when a host
Uh-huh.
of white and yellow cars strolled into the city, and they were all the same build, all the same model, and they were
Hmm.
Russians. They were East Germans. I mean, they were East Germans coming
Really?
through,
Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
and
Okay.
they're all driving the same car because the communist state. Everyone drove the same thing. It was a trip, dude. It was,
Hmm.
and I talked to those people they, fresh off the other side of the border of the wall. It was amazing being a part of that history.
Oh, absolutely. So just on the other side of the wall, but I guess everything looked completely different.
Oh my God, it was it was night and day. It was literally night and day.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like what you see in Palestine and Israel. One side is nice and green, the other
Mhm.
side is barren and
Right.
barren. Anyway,
Yeah.
so let's get back to you. So you went to NASA. You're working at NASA, and
Hmm.
are you doing anything with film right now, or are you just steady being a
Right now?
NASA man?
No, no. You know, I've been trying to get on a Taylor Sheridan series for 10 years now, I guess, whenever he started doing that. Um, but I found out that the casting director has to want to see you. So uh, that's my hurdle right now is I need the casting director to want to see me. But I've got a really cool project, and I think you'd like it. And I didn't audition for it. I didn't use an agent. They just call me, and it's the PBS in San Antonio. Uh, and they said we're going to work on a project uh, of the historic old dance halls in the Texas area,
Hmm.
and they want me to be involved and kind of talk about history and footage of the dance halls, and um, so it's going to be a lot of fun. And then so I'll be the key person on that when that we start filming in about a week.
Nice. I was actually,
So
that's good to know. We got way ahead, but I was talking about when you were in NASA. Was there anything you were doing in
oh
film wise,
oh
looking at film,
no
or
I no
strictly working at NASA?
you know I, right, sure, no, I was always watching movies. I was always studying movies, and back in the day DVD, there was always the DVD extras.
Right.
And so I was always watching the DVD extras of what they're doing behind the camera,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was always studying movies throughout my adult life, um, and NASA too. But back then, you'd go drive down to Blockbuster and you'd spend 10 minutes trying to find the best movie you wanted to watch. And nowadays, you flip through Netflix for about an hour to find the best thing you can watch.
My God, that's just one channel. So let's kind of move up here. What was the first time you auditioned for something?
Hmm. What was that? The Actually, okay, so um, outside of Bernie is the Enchanted Springs
Yeah,
Ranch, western town,
yeah, of course.
and they had a uh, they had a cowboy Christmas, and so they decorated the town and invited tourists to come out. So we did, and there was guys that would do western skits
Reenactments.
and reenactments. And they came up to me and they said, "You've got a great look. We'd like you to be in our group." And so that sounded like fun. So that was kind of my first time in act. And so I was doing the skits with them, and then they started making commercials out there.
I
And
remember those.
the Spurs commercial. And, so we were the Cowboys in the Spurs. And so during that whole season up at Jumbotron, you would see us out at Enchanted Springs Ranch being Cowboys. But they were filming one independent film out there, and I was out there acting on it. And Henry Thomas was in it.
Yep.
And Glenn Morshower.
Right.
And you may not recognize him, but Glenn Morshower, actor all his life.
I'm familiar with him. For the viewers who don't know, he's been in television and films. For you've seen him 1,000 times, I guarantee it. But go ahead, Glenn.
Yeah, he had a big role in the Resident series more recently. But anyway, there was a series some years ago called 24,
right,
with Kiefer Sutherland, and Glenn Morshower was he was kind of the bodyguard of the president, or he was the president. Anyway, he may have been the president at the time.
He had a significant part.
So when we're out at Enchanted Springs Ranch on this little independent western, my wife says, "Hey, that's the guy from 24 over there." And so he was just walking through the town. It was on a break. And so I introduced myself, and he says, "Well, you have a good look." He said, "There's a lady that is a professional in the business in Los Angeles, and she just moved to San Antonio, and you should look her up." And so I was like, "Well, that's an opportunity I should look up." So
right.
I looked her up, and she was teaching acting at the time. So I started taking acting with her. And then later on, she went back to being an agent in Atlanta. And so she represented me for a few years. And that's how I got the role with the Renee Zellweger's thing about Pam was through her, through
right.
Atlanta. But so I was like, well, here, I've studied film all my life, and here's a chance to be an actor. And I always wanted to be in a film that would be studied by an acting class someday.
Yeah.
Or make a film, or a film that became like a landmark film. That was my goal. And so I hit it hard. Took all some classes of acting and still studying film. And so then I've written, just like you have, I've written some screenplays and made some independent films. And they won awards. So I did accomplish those things. But
it's not enough.
Things kind of slowed down a little bit last 2 years. And then I had to pay bills, so I concentrated on software. But things are starting to pick up. In Texas, the Texas Congress finally decided they want to start supporting films, giving money to tax incentives, just like Atlanta has been doing for years and years.
Yeah, but the threshold is so high still. The threshold is too high still. Yeah. You're not helping independent filmmakers like us. You're helping billionaires and millionaires who have money to spend $1 million to put a film on. Whereas here in New Mexico, I can debate this all day, dude, because this is why I left. One of the reasons I left. In New Mexico, it doesn't matter how big your budget is. It doesn't matter if it's $1,000 or $10 million. You're going to get, you're part of the system. And that's the difference. Texas doesn't have the infrastructure to help independent filmmakers, and until that happens, it's pardon my French, it's just BS, dude. It's just another band-aid over a problem that's a gash.
Well, that's where a lot of independent films are made in Texas, and they get shown to the crew and the families, and then that's kind of about as far as they go.
This is what I'm saying. Because it takes so much money to make those films. How are you going to pay for distribution? It's just. Whereas here, and I still haven't made a complete film here yet, and we're going to next year, God willing. Um,
Good, good.
it's just totally different. The infrastructure is in place where I can walk up to go to the film office here and start taking a class to be a key set PA, to be a scripty, to be a crafty person. You can go and walk in and do those classes here. You can't do that in
Do all
Texas.
your skills. Right, right.
There's
Yeah,
no
no, I agree.
infrastructure to build. It's always at the top, and until they start giving to the bottom, it's just yeah. Oh, they say all this. Yeah, we're giving you $5 billion or whatever it is now, but it doesn't go to us.
Right, right.
Have you ever applied for a film incentive for the
Well,
films that you've made?
no, well, all my films were on a barter system, and maybe my last one, I had one donor that had well, it was, I always felt like if you did good writing, you could make a film people would like on a lower budget. If the writing was good and you did a good job and you didn't have any continuity problems, uh, that you could make a film that people would want to see over and over. And so the stuff I've done has held up well,
Yeah.
and won awards and all that. But we never had $1 million. We only had the first short film. We just kind of bartered for the locate, and then everybody else wanted to be in the film. They wanted to be in the film, so they did it for free.
Right.
And
Well, my point being is
so,
we don't have $1 million budgets.
right,
We don't have
right.
$1 million budgets to even apply to try and get a rebate of what is it, 2% or something like that. What is the rebate
Yeah,
percentage? It's nothing.
not sure.
I think it's like
Yeah.
2 to 6%. I think over here it's like 12%.
No.
It's
Okay.
it's 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 it's
Okay.
it's again it's built to make independent films. It is and support big films. Um,
That's
but
great.
anyways, I'm sorry. We could go on and on about the politics of this. It irritates me so much because I love Texas and I want to make films in Texas.
Right.
But it's just
Yeah.
it's just
Well, it's a lot of work, and it's not. I mean, people think making films is magical, and people think that being an actor, you're just a rich guy after all, and uh, and they think, well, Taylor Sheridan's building a studio, but if there's not any money coming in, the studio is not going to be used very much. So there's a whole business behind acting that most people don't understand.
yeah. I mean, yeah. It's a whole industry. It is literally a whole industry. Um,
Yeah.
God, if I get one thing going, all I need is one thing to be picked up, or you or me. All I need is one thing to be picked up at SAG
Yeah.
rates, and
Right.
and and there'll be enough money to do other things. You know what I mean? There'll be
Hmm.
enough money. Okay, I can start doing this now. I can start doing this small film over here, and But
Hmm.
the whole goal, what I want to before I die, one of the ideas, I have a whole business plan that was approved by the military, by the what's it called, the Veterans
Hmm.
Business Administration,
Very good.
the VBA,
Hmm.
um, to purchase a plot of, this is pre-COVID, of course, to purchase a plot of land and put a solar farm on it, and have that, and then on that plot of land on the other end, build a studio, and have the
Yeah.
solar farm basically pay for
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And we're talking, I don't have the figures anymore, but it was at a crazy amount of money, and it still is a crazy amount of money. We're talking, per acre, if you did 10
Hmm.
acres, it's like, $70,000 a month that you would get back. That you're
Oh,
selling,
wow.
that energy basically.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's just money,
Cool.
that's just income for that land, and then of course you start building your. So what I wanted to do was build the first solar and not a big studio, like a one building studio maybe, and then an office building,
Okay.
but the first fully solar studio. And
Mm-hmm.
on top of that, it would be like an ammonia based air conditioning system, so that there's no carbons from
Okay.
that. Totally,
Oh,
friendly to
very
the
good. Off the
EPA
grid.
and off the grid. And then once that money starts rolling in, and we could fund little guys like us, we could help little guys
Mm-hmm.
like us. That's the whole point, is to
Mm-hmm.
help
Great.
little filmmakers like us, give them a place, because it's all sustaining itself. We don't need them to come in their money to keep it running, because it's sustaining itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right.
So
Right.
I get one film done, I'm buying a plot of land. And around here, it's way cheaper than it
Okay.
is in Texas. I don't know why.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know why it is, but. And then, I've gotten
I'm
so
I'm
far as
on
to
your side.
scouting, because you has to be in the location where there's a power line next to it that you can hook into. You just can't be anywhere
Okay.
and anywhere. It has to be
Yeah.
certain
Right. Right.
locations. So I'm just waiting, my friend.
Well, I want you to help. I want you to achieve that.
I'm just waiting, and it's like I said, the veteran business people thought that this is a fantastic idea.
Mhm. Okay.
Self-sustaining
Great.
studio.
Great.
Who wouldn't think of it?
Well,
Anyways, let's go back
keep,
to.
keep at it. Keep at it. I want you to succeed.
Well, because I'm telling you, we had a crew over there in San Antonio. We had a group of people that we could always count on to go and make our films. That's
Yep.
what I want. That's what Adam
Yep.
Sandler has. That's what Chris Tucker has. That's what all these guys that make all these films with the same people over and over and over
Mm-hmm.
again. Seth Rogen,
Well, I remember
all those cats, man.
that, for that one film that for the 48-hour film that we made. Um, I mean, that came out perfect. But I remember your camera guy, he wanted a nice dolly shot, and so what he did is he sat in a wheelchair and they
Yep.
wheeled him while he filmed, and so
Yep.
that was a much cheaper solution,
I,
and it
I
worked perfectly.
I actually have a wheelchair now, just for that.
Mm-hmm.
I learned from
Yep.
that.
Yep.
But at the same time, he didn't know what a rack focus was, and I had to teach him what a rack focus was. So I was like, wait a minute, why I shouldn't
Okay.
be telling you what a rack focus is, my friend? Um, so we learned off each other,
Mm-hmm.
you know? But yeah, I got to tell you, that film is still. You remember when we were editing? Guys, this is going so far off our podcast. You remember when we were editing and when Aubrey runs and jumps into your arms at the park,
Right.
and we laid the music in the very first
Yep.
try?
Well, that's you only have for your listeners, it's only 48 hours to write the story and
Yep.
cast it and locate locations and acting and editing and music. You only have 48 hours, and most people don't get a finished product by then. And we had a finished product that was beautiful, and people were tearing up at the end. And I think we finished before the deadline. Also,
Well,
the
what
music
happened
was
was
dropped in.
the year before, we were like 5 minutes late.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And so the
yeah.
next year, we were
Right.
like, we are not going to be late. We are not going to be late.
Right.
And from opening scene, typing the opening scene to fade to black.
Mm-hmm.
No, actually, from typing the opening scene to that's a wrap was 18 hours. 18 hours.
Yeah.
From the opening typing of the scene to that's a wrap
Yeah.
was 18 hours. And then we had all that other time to edit, which is what
Yeah.
screwed us the year
It was a
before.
beautiful story, and everything came together perfectly, and the music was perfect. Um, I had to move some furniture around, but until recently I have the poster
Mm-hmm.
for the film, and I usually have it right up here next to my desk. Um, but it was where I was sitting with my bottle, and but it wasn't. It was the Aubrey, I think, was actually behind, looking at me. But it was such a neat story that I kept that, but that's when you really like it. The last film I made was kind of like that. Everybody wanted to be involved, and so things were people gave me discount rates on professional work as far as the expenses. But it's called Heart Cycles, and it's about the universal idea about when you were young, your first great love, and the first real serious great love you had, and now it's 20, 30, 40 years later. You think about, well, what are they like today, or do they think about me? I'm thinking about them,
right?
Or what would happen if we met? And so that's what the story was about. And people said they were crying or teary-eyed near the end there, and then they come up to me after the movie and they go, "Well, here's my wife, and we were sweethearts in high school, and then we didn't know each other for 10 years, and then we met, and now we're married." So people were really relating to the story.
Yeah. You have to send me a link to that film, please, so I can watch that. I saw you won a lot of awards.
Sure.
Didn't it win a lot of awards?
Yeah, I did film festivals for 1 year. I gave it 1 year,
Right.
and it won 45
Wow.
best of
Wow.
awards. So best director or best cinematography, best acting, all those categories. It was 45 best of awards in the film festivals. So I was very happy with that.
So you haven't bounced off of that success to write something else to get it going?
No, it's a struggle. I mean, some people are in the right place at the right time, but I was hoping that was going to be the case. But it's still my film. I still own it, and all
Right.
that, and I could show it to people and say, "This is what we did with almost no money at all. Well, guess what we could do with some money?"
Right. Exactly. Well, I'm thinking, if it's won all those awards, God, this is why I'm ready, man. I have so many award-winning scripts that I'm telling you, once we get going and get in front of somebody who can make decisions, and be on the inside. It's not who you are; it's who you know. And once you're on the inside, once Taylor Sheridan got in, he started as an actor, by the way, and he got kicked off of a film, and he wrote his own film. That's how that happened.
Yeah.
You know,
He was a great writer. I was watching his movies before his series.
Yeah.
Very smart fellow.
I'm ready. I mean, I have so many so much stuff out there that I could be the next Taylor Sheridan if I just get in front of somebody who has the money. And we're not talking stuff that I think is good. We're talking stuff that's won awards. You know, it's all award-winning material. I have enough award-winning material just to keep us working for the rest of our lives, literally.
That's great.
So, but it's just getting in front of somebody.
Right person.
Right now, I'm giving you some insight. I'm getting you some inside info right here. I'm working on a screenplay right now. About 2 weeks ago, Leanne Morgan, are you familiar with comedian? And we're going to get to Ruth Buzzy in a minute, but because she's right there with Ruth Buzzy. Leanne Morgan is a comedian from like Hill Country, like the South, talk like that. You know, she's really famous. She has a Netflix special on right now. So she was on.
What's her name again?
Leanne Morgan. Leanne.
Okay. I'll look her up.
Now Leanne Morgan sounds like a country singer. While I'm talking, I'll look it up real quick. And so she was on a podcast, Smartless, I think it was, talking about how there's no movies for people her age and for females and and I said, you know what? I'm gonna write a Christmas movie right now because this is the time to write a Christmas movie. And I'm gonna make it for her in her language, in her tone, in the way she talks. Let me look it up real quick. And I'm almost done with it. And Leanne Morgan, that's her name. Um,
Okay.
I'm almost done with it, and I sent her an email on Facebook because we're Facebook friends. I said,
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, I heard you on the pod. I'm almost ready. I am gonna write a script for you, and it's a Christmas script for next year, and anyway. So I'm almost done with it, and
Mm-hmm. Good.
it's pretty
Okay.
good. It's
And she wants to.
it's pretty good.
She's ready to do it.
Well,
Good.
the thing is that she has what? She has a contract with Netflix, dude. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So if,
Right.
if
Right.
it's something that she likes, she'll take it to them, and that's the door. You know?
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
I just pulled her up. Very, very pretty lady. She looks very familiar.
oh, she's a funny, super funny, super funny. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm giving her. I wrote her a role where it's pulling more of her dramatic side, making her act. I'm gonna make
Right.
her act. The comedy is there, and this is my first comedy.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta send you it to see what
Okay.
you think. I gotta
Yeah.
send you it to see what you think, because this is really my. You know, I'm a
Yeah.
drama guy. I'm a drama guy. I've written a couple of dramedies that have gotten a little attention. I've picked up a couple of festivals, but this is like my first attempt at like a Christmas
Okay.
dramedy.
Okay.
So I'll send you what
Well,
I have, and
music is key. You want when in the comedy scenes, you want some light, comedy-esque style music in the background.
oh well,
It really makes a big difference. So I need to hook you up with my friend Andrew, who lives in Norway, and he writes soundtracks, and he studied. He doesn't just say, "Well, I got this song I wrote. I'm just going to drop it in." He actually studies your film.
mm-hmm,
He sees what emotions are here and there, and he composes music to the film.
right. Actually,
And
Mike and
so
I
that's
did that once.
mhm.
I don't remember which film it was, but we sat in the studio, and as we watched the film, he played guitar and to what we were
Mhm. Yeah,
watching, and it's different.
that's
It's
what
a
you got to do.
different way of doing it.
Because
But
you can have a comedy scene and no music, and the music actually is like a subliminal thing that reminds the viewer, oh, this is supposed to be funny, and so then it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to laugh, uh, and without the music, sometimes people are like, oh, what is this? Am I supposed to laugh or cry at this time?
exactly, that's true. All right, let's keep going here. So you've done quite a few things. What was the Viking project that you did? Because you look like a freaking real Viking. I tell you what.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, it was a commercial that was only going to be shown in the Viking series for the first season. And so they actually shot it in San Marcos, but it was only being it wasn't shown anywhere else. It was just in the middle of the Viking series in the show,
Hmm.
the commercial. And so the commercial was about supposedly a true story about the when the Vikings were going after the Saxons, and the Vikings had this super soldier who just would take on anybody, even by himself. And so it was a standoff between the Viking king and the Saxon king, and a bridge between us. And so I was the Viking king. I'm sorry, I was the Saxon king, and Jason was the Viking king. And but we filmed it in a park in San Marcos, and so they covered up fire hydrants and
Right.
things like that, and I mean, it looked perfect. And but one of the funny things was that the director, he came down from New York, and he said, "Okay, we need a safe word. We need a word that if you see somebody coming across, a tourist coming across the camera or something, call out the safe word." And so he says, "How about hippo?" And so we actually had these two ladies that were a little overweight jogging through our shoot, and I went hippo, and well, I don't know that they heard me, but he was realizing, well, we need to come up with a different word. Um, But
That's hilarious, man.
but that was a fun shoot, and actually, when he came down from New York and he had auditions, I just walked to the place that they were auditioning, and he just said, "Okay, you're the Saxon King. You don't have to audition or anything. You're it. You're it." Just and so that was a fun one. Um, it's been a lot of good projects over the years. The biggest ones lately, Renee Zellweger's The Thing About Pam was a 6-episode story based on a true story, but it was a little weird. It was based on a true story where the lady was killing people in the neighborhood, but everybody loved her so much they didn't think she was the one doing it, but they
Wow.
played it as a comedy.
As a
So it
comedy.
was a true story about a killer, but they played it as a comedy. And but Renee Zellweger played that lady, and but I played her lawyer,
Hmm.
and it happened because they were trying to base all the real characters, all the real people, with characters that looked like them. And so her lawyer was a guy with long, wavy gray hair, and so I got to do that. Got to work with her a little bit, and and then another one was Magnum PI. You know that not the Tom Selleck version,
Right.
but the one they brought a few years ago. Um, I got to play. They were looking. The character was an older man who was suing the helicopter pilot in the
TC.
Magnum PI team, and so I was wearing a neck brace. It was kind of a comedy episode. I was wearing a neck brace, suing them, and so they spent the second half of the episode with me alone, just trying different ways to prove that I didn't need a neck brace, and so that was a lot of fun. Got to hang out with them. Got to spend a week and a half in Hawaii.
Hey, there
That
you
was a
go.
wonderful time.
All bills
And
paid. Didn't you do a
and
music
then
video that was pretty big? Country
yes,
artist?
that's the other one I was going to mention. That was with Miranda
Miranda
Lambert,
Lambert. Ah,
and
that's huge.
it's the song is "If I Was a Cowboy," and you can look that up on YouTube.
You played
If
the
I Was a
bartender.
Cowboy, I was the bartender,
Yeah.
but you see me close up a number of times, and you see me about the halfway point. You see me all the rest of the video, and that was shot in Chan Springs Ranch, outside of Bernie. And I was the bartender, but she was up there at the bar, and I kept pouring shot glasses of tea,
Right.
and she kept wanting. She had when in between shots, she had her little bling cup of something stronger,
Oh,
and so she said she didn't like doing something over and over and over again, but it was fun working with her, and I had a little towel I brought from home because I was the bartender,
right.
and in the middle of the shoot, her makeup lady grabbed my towel and blotted her cleavage
Oh,
so it would be dry. And so I took that back home as a souvenir.
I'm framed, I'm sure.
Maybe I could sell that on eBay. Maybe.
Should have got her to
But
sign it.
that one's on YouTube. That one is at 19 million views
Isn't
right
that
now.
crazy?
But they didn't put my name, so nobody knows who that bartender
You know, you
was.
can add it on IMDb. You can add it onto
Right, right.
IMDb.
Oh yeah, it's on there.
Okay.
It's on there.
Um,
But I think something that got 19 million views. If only they had the names of the other actors on there, that would have been nice.
jeez. Yeah. But I guess
It
music
was fun. It
videos.
was fun.
Okay, yeah, that's how music videos roll. Um, did you do any stage stuff? Have you done any stage stuff at all?
Just once. I always liked acting in film because if you made a mistake, you just do it again.
Yeah.
And if you're in theater and you make a mistake, you have to live with it.
You gotta keep rolling.
And they talked me into doing a play one time, and it was in Bernie, and Bernie was having an anniversary, like the 200th year of Bernie or something like that.
Wow.
And during the Civil War, uh, a lot of German settlers had come to Bernie, that area, and they didn't really want to get involved with the Civil War, and if they did, they wanted to fight for the North. And so what had happened was this one fellow, Dinger was his last name, he had two sons, and the sons wanted to fight for the North. And to do that, you had to go south down to the Mexican border and catch a boat to take you up to the north. And what had happened was that the two boys got killed on their way to Mexico, and they found a letter from the father. And so they tried the Civil War. The South tried the father for treason, and so they made a play about that. And so I played a role that was representing Mr. Dack.
Oh.
And so it actually was done. We played it in the courthouse, the courthouse.
Oh wow!
And so the only problem was when you make a mistake on the stage, you have to live with it. And so one of my lines was, "No wonder his heart was heavy." And when I did it the first time live, I said, "No wonder he was heavy." And so in my mind, the split second in my mind, I said, "Okay, I just told everybody this guy was fat. No wonder instead of no wonder his heart was heavy."
You're getting a reputation for that.
So I did some theater in school, nothing after school, except for that one time. Because with acting, you're relaxed and you're trying to get in character. And if you make a mistake, you just do it again.
Right. Yeah, I only did one play in middle school, and it was with that one teacher that saved me and actually kind of really set me on this path that I'm on now of being creative.
Right.
But I played Georgie Porgy. I don't know if you know that. It was like an English nursery rhyme, maybe. Georgie Porgy Pudding Pie kissed a girl and made her cry. I was Georgie on the ladder, and we went to we took like 4th place in state. It went all the way to like state competitions.
Oh.
Very good. Performing for the parents and then for your school and then it went to all the different competitions all the way to state. But that was the only play that I had ever really been in. And I
did you get to kiss any girls?
I think I did.
Did you kiss some girls?
I think I did. Okay, yeah, good. Pretty sure. Pretty sure. Was there anything that you've done other than the film that you're going to send me that you wish more people had seen, maybe?
Well, I'll tell you what. I remember now. If you go to YouTube and you search for HCF and then Pennington as a second word.
HCF.
So that's Heart Cycles Film is HCF.
Copy.
So if you go to HCF and film and Pennington, it'll come up.
Okay.
And the other thing I would fun one I'd recommend is the Miranda Lambert video.
Oh yeah.
Which is If I Was a Cowboy, and you can find that on YouTube.
Cowboy.
I always joke about if I was a cowboy.
Oh yeah. Wrong song. What was that? If I was a rich man. If I was a rich man. What is that? For Fiddler on the Roof?
If I was a cowboy. But I would look those two up. But yeah, if your audience, look up HCF and then the word Pennington, and it runs about an hour.
Okay.
And people have loved it, and it's like, personally, I was like, well, what if I ever ran into my high school sweetheart? Would she be completely different? Would she be like she was? And so then you think in your mind, what are all the different ways that could happen?
Right.
When you meet your first love again. And what happened in real life was that one day her two daughters were having a birthday party for her, and I guess they'd been drinking a little bit, and so she told them about her boyfriend in high school, and she never told them about that. And so then the daughter started to search for me, and she finally found me, and she was telling me about that. So I was telling her all about her mother during high school, and so that's how I got the idea for the story. And but so it's part fact and part fiction.
That's cool, man. I'm actually getting ready to submit another play. I actually submitted it
Mm-hmm.
to the place that I did before, and we'll see. They're talking about maybe next year, but it's about kind of the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
When I got out of, I'm sorry, I have a neighbor is being unruly. When I got out of the military, I went to
That's your
school
name?
to UTSA, and
Yeah.
I come out one day to take the bus, and there was this really pretty German girl. I had just come from Germany, so
Right.
she was leaving UTSA and going back to Dallas, and then going back to wherever she was going. So she was actually
Mm-hmm.
going down to the bus station to go to Dallas. And so I
Yeah.
was like, well, and we just hit it off. I told her I was in Germany, and then of course we started talking and da 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 da,
Yeah.
and
Right.
it was like, so we went down to the bus station, and I walked her down there with her, and the bus wasn't for 3 hours. So then I took her. We went to go eat, downtown, and it was like a whole affair in 5 hours, dude.
Yeah.
And by the time
Right.
by the
Right.
time she was climbing on the bus, we were almost in tears that she was leaving. It's crazy.
Wow.
So I wrote that as a
Wow.
play, and we're gonna see what's gonna happen with that. It's called The Last
Did you
Bus.
ever? Did you ever? Did you keep in touch with her at all?
No, no, no. We didn't even. I don't even think we exchanged because she. I think it's just part of the play. She was like, what's the point? I'm going back to Germany. It's,
Uh-huh.
you know,
That's a
you know
wonderful
how the
story.
German girls, they're very pragmatic and very, very. This is what it is, and that's it. Why would
Well,
you want to exchange numbers when you're not going to call me? I'm going back to Germany. So,
I
but it
think
was
I
very
think they
cool.
call it. I think they call it a meet cute.
Oh, is that what they
The
call it?
idea of being accidentally finding someone um, and having it only last for 5 hours, but being rather romantic is that's a good story.
It was amazing. I'll send you that play, and this is only the second play I've written, and it's a short play. It's a one act, not a one act, maybe a one act. I'm not sure. Um, it's like 15 minutes. You know.
Okay. Well,
Uh,
there was the movie Linklater did out of Austin with Ethan Hawke called Sunrise, and then or one was called Sunset, and I think another one was Sunrise. But it was a 2 hour film about this couple that kind of meets each other by accident, and they spend the evening and down to the morning walking around and talking and stuff. And, so you can make a feature out of that,
Interesting.
out of yours.
Yeah, it would have to be a very short one. It's 5 hours it's only 5 hours of. Well, I could add a lot of stuff to it. I guess we could
Yeah.
embellish it a
Well,
little bit.
a feature can be 49 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's
If you want to call it a feature, but you don't want to shoot for 2 hours,
right.
you can make it almost about an hour is still considered a feature in film festivals.
Right, exactly. Um, so you're not working on anything right now, film wise?
Well, I'm not making any films, but this thing with the dance
Oh,
with the
that's
dance
right,
halls.
PBS.
If I'm charismatically great as the host, I think it'll open up some more doors for that kind of thing, uh, or as an entertainer or whatever. Uh, but I have my one script that I've had for some years now, um, and I just need money. But I Barry Corbin says he wants to be in it. I just have to pay his agent. Uh, uh, Michael Martin Murphy said he would be in it as the singing bartender.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, I had one scene I wrote that would have been perfect for Shelley Duvall, and Shelley lived in Blanco,
Oh, I didn't
and
know that.
so that would have been perfect to get her on that. But anyway, I've still got Barry Corbin and Murph want to be in, and but it's a Western comedy but it's not. There's a lot of Western comedies that are just kind of dumb, and this is not a dumb comedy. This is an intelligent comedy,
Right.
and so it should appeal to not just people that like westerns. It should have more of a universal appeal. But the screenplay won a lot of awards, um, but it's kind of a mesh between, for some of your older audiences, there was the Wild Wild West when we were kids, and the two guys, the two detectives, they were given an assignment every week, and then it's a mashup of that. And over in England, on the BBC channel, there was the series called The Avengers.
Oh yeah.
And it's not the Avengers like
Right,
the American
no.
Avengers. This was a man and woman that were detectives, and they were given assignments, and she was really the beautiful lady, and she was very smart and had all these skills. In my heart, in my Vinegar to Honey, I play the guy headhunter, and she's my partner headhunter, but she has all the skills, and she's pretty. She can woo a bad guy or whatever.
Right.
I have her as a very modern, sophisticated person, with modern, feminine attitudes, but living in the 1880s.
Wow.
So she's smarter than everybody else, and she doesn't put up with chauvinistic things or whatever.
Nice.
Like in the opening scene, we're sitting at a campfire, and I put my boot out for her to pull my boot off, and which would be chauvinistic.
Right.
And she says, "I'm not your courier." So she's like, "You're a horse, and I'm not going to take off."
I'm not your courier.
So I've been waiting for the right moment to get that going, and I've tried a couple times, but it's just a matter of I need money to make that one correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, so it'll be great if we have it, and that would be a perfect vehicle for a series. Put it on Netflix as a series. Every week we have a different bad guy assignment, but it's still a kind of a outside the box,
right,
Western comedy with some little adult things in it.
So let's keeping with our older audience here. We gotta finish off with talking about Miss Ruth Buzzy. Tell us about your relationship with Ruth Buzzy.
I really loved Ruth. So another thing I do as a software guy, I created a database that holds animals that have been picked up by pounds and foster agencies. And so right now, for 25 years now, it's been out there every hour. If a pet is picked up by the San Antonio Pound, they send me the picture and the information. And so my page is a lot easier to use than the San Antonio Pound's website. And so people go there. And so I always wanted to expand that nationally. And so Ruth, I met Ruth actually through a lady, cousin Nancy. She lived in just south of Fredericksburg, and they had a fundraiser for her in Kerrville, and they had Kiki Friedman and Ruth Buzzy and Sleep at the Wheel, and a number of people that were there on the stage to help raise money for cousin Nancy's place. And so I met Ruthie there for the first time, and then later on I approached her and her husband about maybe using my pet system in where they live, which is Stephenville, that area. And so I went over there, and we became good friends. And they were like, anytime you're in the area, come on over to our house and hang out.
That's cool.
And so one thing I enjoyed was one time we met them in Stephenville at a Chili's restaurant, and I ordered a burger, and she said, my burger showed up, she said, "Man, look at those buns." And I said, "I like your buns too, Ruthie." And it made her laugh. And I thought, how wonderful for someone who all of her career made people laugh all over the world, and I
Yeah.
was able to make her laugh. I
That's
thought that was pretty.
amazing.
But
Amazing.
so we became close, Ruth and her husband Kent, and and then all of a sudden, then she got elderly,
Mm-hmm.
and she became bedridden. But Kent loved her so much. He was a little younger, but he loved her all his life, and he took care of her during the last couple of years actually.
Mm-hmm.
But she stayed at the house, and he took care of her. And but I remember I had one of the visits. I thought, well, I need to bring something, and I brought a little orchid, and it said all you have to do is put one ice cube in there a week. And so I thought she should have a flower to look at. And so she kept that next to the bed, and Kent would put an ice cube in there once a week. And he'd always tell me about how she loved the flower and it was still there and all that. Um, but
That's
she
amazing.
did pass away, and we went to the service, which was very nice. But Kent really loved her, and he still loves her. But I keep in touch with him. But Ruth
Good.
Buzzy she was a real treasure. I remember growing up, people think of her in Laughing, but she was in Voices for cartoons. She was
Oh
on
yeah.
all kinds of variety shows.
The Carol Burnett
And
show. Oh
then
my
then
goodness.
they, yep. And then they had these roasts. They had Dean Martin
Those
roasts.
were the
They would,
ones that really
uh,
killed.
yeah, and she was on those quite often as the Gladys, the character on
Yep.
Laughing with the hairnet
The hair
and
and the
the bag.
glasses.
And one of them was they were roasting Muhammad Ali,
Oh God, Lee, I
and she
remember.
was just beating the heck out of him with her purse. And then they would pull her off of him, and they'd pull her off the stage, and then they'd let her go, and she'd rush back and beat up on Muhammad
I,
Ali some
I
more.
actually remember
It was
this.
really, really fun. So she was always busy. People don't remember that, but she was always busy, and I grew up laughing
Oh
with her.
yeah.
Um, and she was on Sesame Street as well when I was a
Mm-hmm.
kid. So yeah, she was great. And I've been blessed to know some people like to be friends with people that are celebrities to everybody else, but if you just treat them like regular people,
Exactly.
uh, then you become friends.
Exactly.
Yeah.
With Raul Malo when he passed, people didn't realize or didn't really know
Hmm.
that. I knew Raul back. I didn't know him, but I met him in my last film. My last film that I was in, which was All the Pretty Horses,
Uh-huh.
and uh, and
Yeah.
he and I shared scenes together. Um, and then the first time that we met in person, when Michael was joining him, when Michael met him, Michael Guerra, when Michael met him for the first time, it was the first time we all met together.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
we're smokers, and it was at the church in Southtown.
Okay.
It's called the church. It's an old church that's a concert venue. Um,
Okay. Oh, okay.
it's a haunted. It's actually also a haunted place that's registered haunted.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the first time that we met, uh, we were smoking a joint on the side of the church with Raul Malo.
Hmm. Right.
He's like this superstar, he's like a
Some
global superstar.
quality time.
And
Um,
um, and
was
uh,
he was he ever part of the Mavericks?
he was the founder and leader of the Mavericks.
That's what I was thinking. Okay.
Yeah, and so when
Well, both
Michael
of them.
when Michael and I met him, the Mavericks hadn't reformed yet, and so he was doing solo work, his solo album. So Michael was on the next 3 solo albums before the Mavericks
Uh-huh.
reformed, and once the Mavericks reformed, he just slid right onto the Mavericks. And so we were
Yeah.
very closely associated with Raul and the whole band and
Mhm.
the family, that was just it came so fast. His passing came so fast. He's my age. He's our age. He's our age.
Yeah.
You know. Um,
Well, I think I saw a video the other day where someone had given him a very fancy uh, uh, accordion.
Mm. Oh, Michael.
Extremely fancy.
It's a new sponsor,
Michael.
actually. Yeah, it's a new sponsor for him. That's
Mm-hmm.
why they don't just give them to you. He's a sponsor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's probably like a two thousand
Was it
dollar
beautiful?
accordion, something like that. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I just saw that.
Oh,
It's not
very nice.
Gabinelli. It's another accordion maker. But yeah, Michael moved back to
Mm-hmm.
California. He's in California now.
Okay.
So he's not
Okay.
even in Texas anymore. Our DB Media has no longer in Texas. It's only in Albuquerque now. But hey, I still got the LLC and we're still rolling. Um,
Yeah, just keep me in mind every once in a while.
I'm telling you, man, I'm getting the group back together as soon as that first paycheck comes
Yep.
in. The group is coming back together and we're
That
going to
sounds
work.
great. That sounds
Jay
great.
Pennington, my friend, I've kept you for well over an hour, and I just want to thank you. We can reminisce and keep going. Um, Thank you for coming on the show, and we will keep an eye out for what you're doing, and I will let you know when this is going to air.
Okay, sounds great. Well, yeah, when your audience is watching, you can easily look up the Miranda Lambert video. That's fun.
Yep.
Bring it up real quick and watch that. And then if you did have a real serious love earlier in life, you'll probably enjoy my last film.
Hasn't everybody? Hasn't
So that's
everybody?
HCF and then Pennington
Pennington on
on
YouTube.
YouTube.
You got it, my
All
friend.
right. Thanks,
You,
boss.
you have a great day.
You too.
Happy New
And
Year.
I'm not going to say Happy New Year because people will be watching this in July, and
Okay, I just
and
said
they're
that, so I guess I'll edit that out.
just kidding.
Happy New Year.
All right, boss. Take care.
Take care, brother.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Green Chili Cheeseman is a production of DB Media Entertainment, LLC. If you're digging the stories, give us a like or pass us to your friends the way you used to pass the J. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, pretty much anywhere you listen to their pods. Thanks for riding with us, supporting these voices, and keeping the cheese man alive. We'll see you next time.